So yesterday we discussed until LSA type 5, and today agenda is we will see how to redistribute and how the LSAs, what are the different types of LSAs it's being propagated across the multi-area OSPF, and along with that we'll discuss about how static routes with the longest prefix is preferred over other routes if I have a different routing. If I have a different route for same destination, and how the router is going to decide and how the route precedence exactly happens when you have a route for the same destination, but you have multiple routes for the same destination, and how exactly the router decides which one to prefer. So the discovery lab is something we are going to do this the lab with the static routes, and we'll see example if you have for a destination, if you have a RIP route and also you have an OSPF route, but if you have a static route with the longest prefix, uh, that is going to be preferred, even though if you look for your administrative distance, there are a few criterias about that. So we'll talk about that in the actual topology and scenario. So we will do a discovery for static route with the longest prefix today, and then we will discuss about the difference between the static route and dynamic route, in what way it is different from each other. And also we'll see how to do the default route and the whole logic behind the default route, and where exactly the default route is being used widely. We'll see that, and along with that we will do a lab for different area types. And as I said, there are four uh, key area types: not so stubby area, and then totally stubby area, and they are basically called as an E1, E2 route, and N1 and N2 routes. So the that is the most asked question in the interview: what is N1, N2 routes, and what is E1 and E2 routes? So we will do that in the lab today. So that's the whole ideology of today's class. So to start with, let me start with the we'll continue the session what we left yesterday. So let me quickly open my RDP. Just give me a minute. Let me start this. I cannot move this. Okay. So yesterday until LSA type 5, we discussed until LSA type 5. So now we'll discuss about LSA type 7. And before that, we'll go through the config, and along with that, we'll see what is the LSA type 7. So I am on R1 here. This device, I am on R1. Let me grab my pen. This guy R1. I'm going to configure R1. So if I give show run section OSPF, let me show you how to configure all this area types and how to do this LSA. The whole thing will do from the scratch. So now I am going to remove all the OSPF config. So if I give no router OSPF1, no router OSPF1. So if you do show run section OSPF, okay, in the interface config, it's actually when you define your network type, it has to be in the interface level. So the global configuration is something what the networks whatever you have configured in a particular device. When you're throwing out your the when you're throwing out your actual subnets, that is through the OSPF router OSPF command, where you actually throw out your networks. But here, to define the network type is a big. This is a broadcast network, multi-access broadcast network. So here we are doing it in the interface level to define your actual network type. So network type should be defined in the interface level, and the actual, if you're throwing your network out to all the other routers through OSPF, it is through the global OSPF command, that is router OSPF. You guys might know about this, but this is an for your information. If some people they are doing the OSPF for the first time, this is for them. People there, you guys are aware of it. You guys can ignore. So if I give show IP interface brief, come on, show IP. I should type slowly. Show IP interface brief, exclude unassigned. So I'm looking only for the assigned IP address. So if I give show run interface, come on, show run interface, Ethernet 0/2. You see, this is, I defined this interface on R1 as a broadcast, so I'm going to remove this. A fresh config, no IP OSPF network broadcast. Let me check, is it removed? Do show run interface Ethernet 0/2. It's removed. So only I got an IP configuration, nothing else. From the OSPF standpoint, if you see show IP route, OSPF, there is nothing. If you give show IP route, I do see nothing, only the connected routes, no OSPF routes. If I give show IP protocol, this is actually very important command to see what routing protocol is being used here. I don't see anything here. So this is without any routing here. So all are directly connected devices right now. So I'm going back to, let me hop on to R3 right over here, R3 here. And Ethernet 0/2 goes to this guy. To give show CDP neighbor So I'm connected to R2 as well as I'm connected to R1. This guy, both are in same area. So now I want to remove the OSPF config from Ethernet 0/2. Let me take my pen here, right over here, here, and here. So I'm going to remove the OSPF network type on both interfaces, Ethernet 0/2 on R1 and Ethernet 0/2 on R3. Let's do it quickly. I'm on R3, show IP interface, brief, exclude unassigned, config, go to interface. So E00, it's going to this guy, R2. So I want to remove the E02, Ethernet 02 here. No IP, OSPF, network type, broadcast, so network. This is a command to remove this. No IP, OSPF network will remove your network type, and followed by that config, no router, OSPF. So if you see here, show IP route. I don't know, it's because of some bad latency here. Show IP route, OSPF. If I give show IP route, so it is actually happening when you remove your OSPF. I think it is going through some kind of process. Show run section OSPF. Still, I do see the point to point. Okay, it is right over here, point to point. So let me remove that. So we removed the config from Ethernet 0/2, and I'm going to remove the config on Ethernet 0/0. I'll tell you when what we're going to do it. First, let me remove all the config. Config interface Ethernet 0/0. No IP OSPF network. So show IP route OSPF. Show IP route. Show IP route. So no OSPF routes. So I cleared all the OSPF config from R3 and R1. Let me hop back to R2. Show run. Show run section OSPF. Okay, so in the meantime, okay, I gave a wrong command, so it's doing a DNS resolution to disable it. Okay, fine. So let me, in the meantime, let's hop on to R3 here, over here, R3. So what happens here? The whole objective is this guy in the left side, right? For this router, the left hand side of this router, it's an area 0, it's a backbone area. This guy, if you look at this interface, it is on area 0. So you can imagine it got an left hand and it got an area 0, the right hand it points to area 1. It's like that. So that's the whole objective of the config. So this is called as a multi-area OSPF. This is called as multi-area OSPF because you got different areas. So if both if both I mean the left hand side and right hand side, right? If both sides are running the same area, then it is called as a single area OSPF. So when we say multi-area OSPF, it should have the backbone area. It's a basic area where no OSPF topology can be built without area zero. I mean that is a backbone area. Sorry. So without backbone area, you cannot build your OSPF. But if you have areas other than your backbone area, area zero, so it is again called as a multi-area OSPF, irrespective of if you are running one area or if you're using multiple areas. For example, if you have one more router connected here and you make this as an area 3, then again this is also called as a multi-area OSPF. So now we got a backbone area, area 0, and along with that area 1. That's the whole objective. That's something we are going to configure here. So let me hop on to R2. Okay, I'm on R2. Show IP route OSPF to see I'm running any OSPF routes, and if I give show IP protocol, if you see I'm running EIGRP and it is showing the OSPF because in the global config you have OSPF. So you can ensure what routing you're running using show IP protocol command. Even that is helpful. We'll talk about that. It will give you some more additional detail like how many paths and it will show you if you apply any filter, right? If you apply any filter, you can actually see this. So that's again out of this topic. We'll talk about that. I'll get back to that. So right now, let me delete the OSPF show run. Section OSPF. So if I do no router OSPF 1, and along with that, I'm going to the interface. I mean right over here. Guy going to this guy. So both are P stands for point to point, both are point to point interface here and here. Both are point to point interface right over here and here. So let me delete the interface level config. Let me go to interface Ethernet 0/0. No IP OSPF. OSPF network. It's going to remove everything. So we are not running OSPF anymore. Show IP route. Come on, show IP route. So I don't see any OSPF routes. So let me quickly do that. You guys are familiar with this, so let's do this quickly. Let me go to config. So now I'm telling that I'll show you this. So show IP interface brief, exclude unassigned. If you see this, let me take my pen. So the 10 network is configured on Ethernet 0/0, and the Ethernet 0/1 is configured for 30.0.0.1. So basically, this is 30 network that's connected to Ethernet 0/1 goes to fast Ethernet 0/0 for switch 37252. That is on 30 network. So this is a WAN, right? So connecting a different LAN. So I have a WAN connection between 3725 and this guy R2. The network used for it is 30.0.0.0. And if I go to show run, you can actually use any subnet mask here. Show running interface Ethernet. Pretty simple topology. Ethernet 0/1 and it is /24 here. Here also for 30 network it's /24. Let me mark this /24. And let me so this is 1. So I should use a text. So it's a 1 over here, and I give a 15 to increase the size. Let me put it over here. So over here, this is 1, right? 30.0.0.0/24, and over here it is dot 1. So let's go back to 37252. Here, this guy running AGRP. Show IP interface brief. It is 30.0.0.2. This guy here. Let me bring this. We are running AGRP, and this is dot 2, right? So this is 2. Let me delete this. So this guy over here is dot 2, and this guy is dot 1. Why I'm giving all this simple detail? Because for you guys, you can build your own lab for it. The same topology, very simple. So we got 3 networks. The 30 network is running between the 37252 switch and the R2 switch. And 30.0.0.2 is assigned in fast Ethernet 0/0, and in Ethernet 0/1 it is dot 1. And right over here, I know this is an ASBR for this topology. R2 is an ASBR because this guy is redistributing all the OSPF route to inside this. That's the whole ideology. We are going to do that. And apart from that, here 10.0.0.0/24 is a WAN connection between R2 and R3, and I'm using dot 1 over here and dot 2 on R3. Fine, this is in area 0. And right over here, I'm using only R3 and R1. On R3, Ethernet 0/2 is used, and I'm using 20.0.0.1/24, and in R1 and in the Ethernet 0/2, I am using 20.0.0.3, and it is /24. So this is in area 1. So R3 and R1, R3 is an ABR because it is on area 0 and area 1, but R1 is only in area 1. So this guy here, we are running an EIGRP. We are going to redistribute this route inside this ASBR. So let me start with R2. So we have an IP configuration, so I don't want to waste time in just showing you the IP config. Let's quickly jump into the OSPF config. So I'm on R1. Let's jump back to R2. Okay, I'm on R2 now. Let me go to config. So the command is router OSPF1. So the connected networks I got now, right now, I'm going to advertise only this guy, 10 network. So my connected network, right? Network 10.0.0.0. And then followed, if you give the 10.0.0.0, it will ask for the wildcard mask. And the wildcard mask is an inverse value of the subnet mask. So if it is /24, we know the first 3 octets is assigned. So it's an inverse of it. So all zeros. So first 3 octets are occupied. So here it should be zeros. And it is 255. The whole meaning is now it is /24. I'm advertising this. I'm throwing this 10 network over this link, Ethernet 0/0. That's the whole idea, because this OSPF process enables on all the connected interfaces, but I have to define my network. So I define my network as 10 network. So it's going to throw out this 10 network out to all the other devices who is listening in the OSPF routing. So right now I'm doing that, and I have to define the area. So I'm on area 0. That's it really for this. So we enable the OSPF on this particular interface. That's the whole meaning of it. So OSPF is something you should be enabling on every interface. So this is something. So wherever you configure the 10 network, the OSPF will be enabled right over there. And now after this, I'm going to the interface Ethernet 0/0. I'm going to say IP OSPF network point to point, because this guy Ethernet 0/0 goes to Ethernet 0/0. The foreign network, it is on R3. That's it really about OSPF. If you see show IP route OSPF, come on, show IP route OSPF. I don't see anything. Show IP OSPF neighbors. I don't see anything because the other side, the in the foreign device here. I mean, sorry, no, not a foreign device. This is the remote device here. R3 is, we haven't configured anything on it. Show IP interface brief. So this Ethernet 0/0 is on 10 network right over here. Ethernet 0/0. It's on .2. We know I explained this. So I'm on R3 now. I'm going to enable the OSPF router OSPF 1. Come on, space 1 network 0 dot, sorry, network 10.0.0.0 wildcard mask 0.0.0.255, because we are using same subnet mask here /24 on both. And I'm going to define this in area 0. If you see this, I'm going to tell you this, this area is an area 0. So let's see, let's do a little bit of deep, troubleshooting along with that. What if I give an area 1, what happens here? You see, this is telling that this is a mismatch area from the backbone area. So when you're doing a point-to-point connection, when you're defining your area, the area should match. So it's telling that mismatched area ID from backbone area. Yeah. At least one area should be on area 0, because since we got area 0 configured here, there is no problem. But here we haven't configured any other area, and it is telling that this is a area ID mismatch because you are not connected to the backbone area. You see, it went to the two-way state. It is trying to establish a connection with a neighbor. So but the neighbor is down. We discussed about that in the two-way state. Both sees their hello, and there is no database descriptor packet is being sent because of the area mismatch. So you have to focus on this. When you are in a two-way state and it goes to the down state, from two-way to it went to down state, so it is not progressing. So it has to go to the from down in a two-way start exchange and loading when full, or it's not happening because of mismatch, area mismatch. So what if I give area 0? So it changed from area 1 to area 0, and now it is not barking about the errors. And if I give show IP OSPF events, what should I see? So if you look at this, the interface turned from init to two-way, and it waiting and down to waiting. You know why? Because we haven't configured the network type. So still it's waiting. We are not progressing. You give show IP OSPF neighbors. You can see this. We are in X start state. So in R3, it is telling that full DR. Neighbor ID is 30.0.0.1. On Ethernet 0/0, this is interesting. We are on R3, and where this 30.0.0.1 is coming from. So the neighbor ID is 30.0.0.1. Okay, this guide is telling that, and the address is 10.0.0.1. Okay, yeah, we configured 30.0.0.1. But if you see this, this is actually what we configured for this particular interface. I'm checking this interface and I'm on R3. I'm going to check this Ethernet 0/0. I should not see this DR and BDR election because we are doing point to point. I haven't done anything, see, but I think if you're not enabling it, that should something, it goes to the OSPF network type broadcast. That's something I haven't seen this before. Okay, so let's define this, and you can see this. It went to the extract state and it established a connection. It became a DR. So it is thinking that this device is a multi-area, sorry, this device is a multi-access network because we haven't defined anything. Ethernet 0/0, right over here, this guy. And I want to do IP OSPF network point to point. So if you see, now it is coming from loading to full, full to down, neighbor, and then it started from loading to full. And if you see show IP OSPF neighbor, that's the very first command we should use to check your neighbors. It went to the full state. So the recommendation is both sides, the connected interface should be in the same network type. And if I give show IP OSPF events, so I am actually receiving the LSA types, the sequence number. So, okay, it's not refreshed much. That's fine. Show IP OSPF neighbor is giving us the current output. Show IP OSPF neighbor. So it's in full state and there is no DR and BDR election in the point to point. And what else I can see here? So if I give show IP OSPF database, so this is router LSA, type 1 LSA. That's expected. Other than that, I don't see anything. I don't see type 2 LSA because this is a point to point connection. So this is from coming from 20.0.0.1. This guy R3, it's a local link, local link ID, and 30.0.0.1 is this guy R2, and the advertised router is 30.0.0.1. Let me jump back to R2 here. So IP OSPF database. And what is the LSAs I see? So I see the LSA, the connected network, right? So that's a type 1 LSA 20.0.0.1. Right over here, we configured here, right? Dot one. If you see this, it is on Ethernet 0/2. So I know about this LSA. This is a type 1 LSA. Let me give show IP interface brief, exclude unassigned, 20 and 30 network, and 10 network. Let's come back to that. Actually, I'm seeing, I want to see the LSA type 1 of, I mean, 10.0.0.1 that is supposed to be, I should see this as an type 1 LSA. Inside this, the connected route information, it will advertise through the LSA because the router within the same area, it should see the type 1 LSAs, but that's something in the R3. I don't see this 10.0.0.1, but I see 30.0.0.1. 30.0.0.1, that makes sense because that is, we are redistributing and this particular interface is hanging on R2. But why I'm not seeing 10.0.0.1? That's something I have to check. I'm on R2. If I give show run, where actually I configured the point to point, it's an Ethernet 0/0 over here. Goes to R2. So I configure point to point right over there. And if I give show run interface Ethernet 0/1. So I haven't configured this. I think the highest physical IP address is something it's used, but again, 10.0.0.1, I should see that. Okay, let's go forward. Let's do the troubleshooting parallelly with that. So if I go to the R3, here I have to configure this particular, let me take my pen, this particular interface, Ethernet 0/2. The network type is a broadcast. The same thing for this, because R3 and R1 are in BMA, not point to point, multi-access network. So let me quickly hop on to R3. Okay, I'm on R3. Let me quickly enable the OSPF. I'm going to enable the OSPF globally router OSPF 1. So I'm going to throw my connected networks. So it is network 20.0.0.0, 0.0.0.255. And this is important. So I am on 20 network, and as I said, this 20 network is on area 1. So it should be in area 1. Okay. So network, my 10 network, it is on my 10 network right over here, right? Because R3, it is on area 0 and area 1. Area 0 is on 10 network. So I want to advertise the 10 network as well. 10.0.0.0, 0.0.255, area 0. I think we haven't done this. That's the reason it's not showing the 10 network right there. Let's see. So if I do config interface Ethernet 0/2 right over here, right? Right over here, Ethernet 0/2 on R3. Let me take my pen here. So I'm going to configure this interface Ethernet 0/2 IP OSPF network broadcast. Show IP OSPF neighbor. So I don't see anything coming over from R1 because I haven't configured anything. If I give show run section OSPF, so 10 network is on area 0, that's correct. 20 network is on area 1, that's correct. My subnet mask is /24. So I'm good with OSPF config. And I see the broadcast and the point to point. Let me quickly check the interfaces. So let me check my interface Ethernet 0/2, show run interface Ethernet 0/0. This is on point to point, that's correct. And I want to check the Ethernet 0/2. That's correct. It's in broadcast. So all the config from this R3 standpoint, we're good. Let's jump to R1. Enable show IP interface brief, exclude unassigned, exclude unassigned. Okay. Ethernet 0/2, it is on 20.0.0.3. Fine. So let me go in here, interface Ethernet 0/2. I'm on R1 over here. The actual IP is 20.0.0.3. IP OSPF network. It's a broadcast. And I want to enable, right? I want to throw out my networks here. So I'll show router OSPF 1. It's a network. I got only one network here, so 20 cents. 20.0.0.0 255 is a wildcard mask and it's an area 1. So if I check show IP OSPF neighbor, so this guy became a DR. Sorry, 20.0.0.1 is became a DR. Let's also play around with one thing. Okay, so this guy became the DR. This guy here, let me take my pen. This guy, this guy is a DR. This guy is PDR. Oh, so he manages all the LSAs here for this particular area. He's the master of this area Z, area 1. So that's it really. We configured this and let's check now in the R1, what should I see the LSAs? Show IP OSPF database. So that's expected as we discussed yesterday. I see, let me take a different color. Okay, so I can see LSA type 1, LSA type 2, and LSA type 3. If you see LSA type 1, this is LSA type 2, LSA type 3. And when somebody is asking what is actually the summary LSA, if you see this in the network LSA, I see the exact router interface, right? 20.0.0.1 right over here. 20 dot, okay, I have to take a different color for this. 20.0.0.1. So I see that exactly right over here. But whereas for the 10 network right over here, the foreign network 10 network is a foreign network for me, right? From the R1 standpoint, this is a foreign network here, right over here, foreign network, and I don't see the specific address. So that's called a summary address. So if you want to reach the 10 network, I don't know the specific IP of it, but if you want to see, if you know, where this particular foreign network resides, you have to go to 20.0.0.1. This guy, I mean, from R1 standpoint, I don't know where is 10 network, but the advertised device is this guy, 20.0.0.1. And one more thing in the output, that's something you should see, something called as a stub network. So if I give show IP OSPF database, I'll explain what is stub database. I think it's a network. And this guy is 20.0.0.3, is it? Stub networks 20.0.0.1. If I give show IP OSPF database, okay, so this guy, he is taking the loopback address, okay? Show IP OSPF database router. The advertised router is itself, right? If I'll show you this. Okay, this is exactly I want to see here. So it is telling that my designated router, right? My DR is 20.0.0.1 and the router interface, it's local interface. And because I configured the loopback interface, it picked the loopback interface as my link state ID. So the number of link is 1. I got only one link. If I give show IP interface brief, exclude unassigned, So exclude unassign. So I use the loopback interface. So loopback is more preferred than the physical interface, the election. So it picked this. So this is local to me, right? So this is called a stub network. Stub network is it's connected to me. So that's my border. This the the border of this particular network is me. You cannot go forward because this is connected hanging on to my device itself. So you don't want to go anywhere else. So this is my local interface. That's the whole meaning of it. So the command you have to run is show IP OSPF database and followed by the router command and who is advertising this route. If you see this link state ID is 1.1.1. This guy locally itself, the loopback interface is picked. So this guy is telling that this is my router interface address 20.0.0.3. 20.0.0.1 is my DR on this network. So this way you can find your DR. And this is type 1 LSA. Okay, all the connected networks are type 1 LSA. That's it. We saw type 1 LSA, we saw type 2 LSA, we saw type 3 LSA, and now we'll see type 4 and type 5 LSA and how to generate the type 4 and type 5 LSA. Let me hop on to 37252. Sorry, let me hop on to R2. Let me take my pen. This guy. I know how to get rid of this. So I'm running a EAGRP on this guy, EAGRP EIGRP on both devices. Let me close this. So I'm running EAGRP on both R2 and 3725-2. This device, I'm running an EAGRP because I want to redistribute only then the ASBR comes into the play, and I should see the type 4 LSA on R1 and also along with the type 5 LSA. We discussed about this yesterday, type 4 and type 5 LSA. Let's do it in action now. So I am on R1. If I give show run section OSPF, sorry, show run section EAGRP. Okay, we removed all the config, but I should see the EAGRP. Show run section EAGRP. Did I remove EAGRP? Okay. Show IP protocol. I see OSPF running, but not EAGRP. Okay, fine. So let's configure the EAGRP. So I am on R1. Okay, I know it's my mistake. So I am on R1, so I have to be in R2 because that's my ASBR. Show run section EAGRP. So yeah, I'm running the EAGRP. I haven't removed EAGRP. Show run section OSPF. This is pretty simple command. I mean, the same thing we don't have anything like an area. So here actually I'm using the process ID 1, the EAGRP, both side it should match. So it's called as an autonomous system number. Yep, it's on AR2 and 3725-2 both should have the same autonomous number system. This value 1. So I'm throwing out 30 network through through EAGRP here on R2. This is my ASBR. So did I do a redistribution in the OSPF for it? So let me go to configure. How do I do a redistribution? So let me go to router OSPF 1, I'm going to give a command redistribute EIGRP, and the ACE number, autonomous system number 1, followed by metric. You can give a random number here. Let me give 4444. That's it. Enter. So now what happened? Let me tell you this. So I am running OSPF. So I am running an OSPF on R2. So this is my OSPF route. So inside my OSPF, I got 10 network, right? Not 30 network, 10 network. I don't have 30 networks, but I am running EIGRP. Let me erase this. So EIGRP for 30 network 30.0.0.0. I'm running EIGRP for 30 network, and I'm doing OSPF for 10 network. So what happened now? Let me take a different color. So from EIGRP, I'm injecting this route, right? I'm injecting this route to OSPF. So I don't know about this network, OSPF, I don't know about this network, but since the EIGRP inject this route, so the OSPF is, come to know about this route because EIGRP injected the route to OSPF. So now OSPF knows that, okay, I know where is the T network because EIGRP told me, right? That's how exactly happening here. That's what we did. The command does redistribute. I am telling inside, if you look at this, I am inside the OSPF. I am telling redistribute the EIGRP routes, and the metric is random value here. So what it's going to do, it's going to redistribute all the routes what the EIGRP is aware of. Let me see, is actually it's propagated across. If I go to jump back to R1, and if I see show IP route, you can see this E2 route, right? This is a question for the interview. What is the E1, E2 routes? So this is an external type 2 route. That stands for E2 routes. And now this one is an inter-area route, because 10 network is an inter-area between different area. If a route is coming from a different area, that is inter-area route. And all this one network is an intra-area route. That is the difference, as I said yesterday. Intra-area is from coming from a different area. If you see, O stands for OSPF here, right over here. If I look for, yeah, IA, capital IA stands for inter-area route. The 10 network is a foreign network that is in a different area, that is inter-area route, and along with that, I am also receiving the E2 route. So you can see exactly the metric what we configured here. If you jump back to R2, so the same metric what we configured for EIGRP, it's reflecting right over here on R1, right? And if you see, this administrative distance is 110. So you can also see when there is a flap, and this is something I keep an eye on whenever there is a problem with the routing. So when exactly this has happened, this happened exactly 1 minute 54 seconds before, right? This is it's been 12 minutes. I know about this. And through Ethernet 0/2, I learned this through Ethernet 0/2 here over here. So this guy R3 propagated this type 5 LSAs. That's something I should see, the type 5 LSA now. Show IP OSPF database. Here you go. We got, let me take this color. Okay. So this type 5 LSA, it's actually coming from this guy, right? So I have to use something, the common color to differentiate better. So this is coming from here. Let's do this. So from here, it came to R1. Yeah. And also I can see this type 5 LSA. And also, as we discussed yesterday, I see type 4 LSA. 4 stand for type 4 LSA. And this is my type 5 LSA, external routes, redistributed routes. And this is type 3 LSA. I cannot scroll this. And we know this, right? I mean, this is this is uh, this is type 1, and the network LSAs are type 2 LSA. And if I jump back to what is the difference, and if I see in the point-to-point connection, if I go to R2, show IP OSPF database, let me go to R3 here, show IP OSPF database. So in R3, I see type 1, type 2, type 3, ASBR 20.0.0.1. I mean, advertised router is this guy. So who is your actual ASBR is 30.0.0.1 right over here. If you can check the config on R2, R2 show IP, interface brief, exclude unassigned. So you can see this guy, right? 30.0.0.1 is an ASBR. That's something, this ABR has told, has translated all this type 5 LSAs to this guy. Why we need an ABR? Because it's to avoid the loop. So whatever the external routes, it has to come through the ABR. It should not come directly to this guy. So that's the whole point. So ABR is responsible to forward all my, type 3, type 4, type 5, and type 7 LSA. This is very important because some people, they ask a question, okay, who is actually, who is actually, who is actually advertising the type 5 and type 7 LSAs, and who is responsible for it. So that is actually the ABR is actually doing that. Let me go to R1. You can see this, right? So right over here, 20.0.0.1, where is this guy? 20.0.0.1, this guy. So he didn't say that directly to me, but 20.0.0.1, it's my ABR. How do I check that? Show IP, OSPF, border routers. If you look at this, my ABR is 20.0.0.2. Sorry, 20.0.0.1. My ABR is 20.0.0.1. And this guy here, right? If I go to R3, I give show IP interface, brief, exclude, unassigned. And if you can see this 20.0.0.1 is configured on R3 right over here. So for R1, my ABR is this guy. He gave me the ASBR address. I don't know them directly. Okay. So now, what else? We saw type 3, type 7, until type 5 LSA, we saw that how to configure and how these LSAs are propagated. And now it's time to jump back to the, now let's jump back to the area types. So we are doing multi-area OSPF and we saw the LSA types, and we are going to talk about the area types. Okay. So let me open my presentation here. Okay, if you see this, let me take this. This is fine. Okay, if I take this. So all the areas are connected to the backbone area. So let me give you a background about. So in the stub area, if you there is a special area types in OSPF. So this, you know, let me delete this. Okay, fine. So not so stubby area and totally not so stubby area. This is a pair. Let me use a different color to differentiate better. This NSSA and totally not so stubby area. Not so stubby area and totally not so stubby area. Let's see what are the LSA types. You see that. So here ASBR is allowed, but no type 3 and type 5 LSAs. LSA type 3 and LSA type 5s are not allowed. So here, if it is a broadcast network, you can see type 2 LSA, or else you can see only the type 1 LSA. So right over here, no type 5 LSA is allowed and no ASBR is allowed. So if ASBR is not allowed, no type 4 LSA, but here type 3 is allowed. Summarize drop. Let me try this again. Type 3 LSA is allowed. So let's do this in action. So let's start with, go to diagram. Okay, let's go to the lab. So now the whole point is we are going to do a stub first. We're going to start with stub, and we should not see type 3 LSA, we should not see type 5 LSA, as well as we should not see type 4 LSA. And we should see type 1 and type 2. So I'm going to R3. I'm going to change the area type. So how to do that? I want to go to the global configuration mode of OSPF, the router OSPF 1. I have to define an area. I'm on area 1 on R3. I'm going to say stub. And one more thing, very important, if you configure a stub over here, this is my stub, and the same thing has to be configured on your neighbor. Otherwise, if you see the neighbor is down, let's go back. Do show IP OSPF neighbor. If you see this guy, So I am on R1. So it is showing down. So the neighbor ID 1.1.1. So it's right actually here. Let me jump back to R1. Let's see. Show IP OSPF neighbor. I don't see any neighbor. Show IP OSPF events. Include type. So the shortest path algorithm is running here, right? When you're doing OSPF, its shortest path algorithm is used for OSPF. Show IP OSPF neighbor. I don't see anything here because it's because of a different area type. So this is in a special area, that stub area. This is in a normal area. It should not be like that. As I said, it should be same on both routers. So I have to go to router OSPF1 area 1 stub. Let's see, it should bring up my neighborship. Show IP OSPF neighbors. Here we go. So again, 20.0.0.1 become a DR. I got the full neighborship. And if I do show IP OSPF database, let's go back to the presentation. So I should not, no type 3 LSAs allowed, no type 5 LSA allowed, no ASBR allowed. If you see this, so here, you can see the type 1 LSA, router LSA, and you see the network LSA. And everything here, the link ID, it shows 0. And for the 10 network, I have to go through this 20.0.0.1. Oh, this guy is advertising about 10 network now. So if you actually see the type 5 LSAs, let's go back to the presentation. No type 5 LSAs are allowed. So if you see, I don't know anything about 13 network, right? Right over here, because I redistributed. But even though if I am redistributing it, I don't see the type 5 LSA right over here. So now let's do stub. Sorry, I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, guys. See that's something that's running in my mind. So no type 5 LSA allowed and no type 4 LSA is allowed, but type 3 LSA is allowed. I'm sorry for that, but I'm just looking on the totally stub area. So we configure as a stub. So type 1, type 2, and type 3 LSAs are allowed. No other LSAs are allowed. No type 5, no type 4, but type 1, type 2, and type 3s are allowed. And there is no such thing like a type 7 LSA in the stub. That's very important because when people they ask you a question about that, show IP OSPF route, show IP route, OSPF. So everything, if you look at this, to reach any other network other than my type 1 LSAs, it's all injecting the default route by itself. I didn't do anything. So when somebody is asking a question, what is E1 and E2 route? E1 and E2 routes is generally your redistributed routes, and it should be a normal area. It should not be any special area to allow your E1 and E2 routes. So you don't see anything E1 in E2, but when it is in a normal area, but when it comes to a special area, if I say a special area, if it is a stub, totally stub, not so stubby, or totally stubby areas, all the areas are special areas. So when the OSPF is running in the normal area, you should see your E1 and E2 routes. Let's see that. Okay, so let's do it in action with the other area types, special area types. So now we did stub, and let me do totally stub. So what is the meaning of totally stub? That's actually the command is self-explanatory. It's actually very interesting. If I go to R1, yeah, let's hop on to R3 first. Let me delete this. Let me go to R3. Again, the same thing. I have to go to router OSPF 1, and it's always better you guys remove that stub and then do no stub, because that actually that's actually mess up your OSPF. So it's better to remove always. I suggest no area 1 stub is a command to remove the stub config. So I have to do the same thing in on R1. Let me hop on to R1. You guys, this. I am on R1. If I say R1, I am here. R3 is this guy. So I'm going to R1. Let me go to the OSPF, router OSPF 1, no area 1 stub. What is the expectation here? In the output, you guys should see the E1, E2 routes. Show IP route, OSPF. You can see the E2 routes now. If I give show run section OSPF, so IP OSPF network broadcast, and there is no special area. That's a normal area. So that's why I can see on E1, E2 routes. So when somebody is asking a question, the E1 routes, when I'm talking about specific routes, so when I say the external route, E1 E2 routes, here that's an external route. It's a redistribute routes. That's something I'm receiving, and this is something in the normal area I see E2 routes. So now let's go and do, we did stub, and now we are going to do a totally stubby area, and let's see what is the output we get. So let me do the config on R1. I am on R1 here, right over here, R1. You can see my mouse pointer. I am on R1. I'm going to do a config router OSPF 1, area 1, stub. And if I give a question mark, it's very, very self-explanatory. No summary. Do not send summary LSA into the stub area. What is your summary LSA? It's your summary is LSA is your ASBR LSA, right? Type 3 LSA. So I'm telling no summary. So what is the name of this area? Totally stubby area. Totally means I'm totally, blocking the LSAs. So let's see. As I said, you have to do the same thing on both the routers. Do show run section OSPF. Do show run section OSPF. Yep. Let me copy this and let's jump back to, I'm on R1. Let me hop back to R3. It is better to do that, but before that I have to remove this no area stub, area 1 stub, 1 stub. So I just copied the same config. You can also do show run section OSPF. Okay, it is not applied. Interesting. I'm on R3. Show run section OSPF. You have to always ensure that is it your area types have configured properly. Don't do troubleshooting without this, because it may be finally or just a stub config. Router OSPF 1, area 1, stub, no summary. Okay. So if you see now, I got the neighborship show IP OSPF neighbor. So I see this BDR 1.1.1 over here. I can create the loop back on R1. One stands for all ones, loop back and it's on R1 BDR. So let me see the LSAs now. And always you should check the bidirectional loop neighborship. Show IP OSPF neighbors. It's DR is this guy 20.0.0.1. Show IP, not show IP route. Show IP OSPF database. Look at that. So I don't see any type 3 LSA, summary LSAs, all changed to zeros. Because I explicitly said no summary command. Stub, no summary, it's something you have to block your summary LSAs. So all this changed to all zeros advertised by 20.0.0.1. And if I give show IP route OSPF, look at that, it's shrinked. My routing table shrinked. So no other LSAs allowed other than type 1 and type 2. Let's see show IP. So if I want to reach any network, it became a default route. I didn't do anything. It's shrinking your database. So where it is actually helpful when you build your topology, if your routing table gets bigger and bigger and you have many devices, this is very, very helpful. It is actually shrinking all your routes into just one default route to reach anywhere else. Because the whole point is the R1 knows the ABR, it's going through ABR. So the ABR is the guy who actually, try to reach the other destination on behalf of R1 here. Because my default route points to this guy. I don't care and how to reach about this network. But here is one more testing. That's something, let me check. I am on R2, and if I do show IP interface brief, this guy is 10.0.0.1. And if I go to R1 here, if I say R1 right over here from R1, I'm trying to ping a network which is hanging on R2 10.0.0.1. Let me see if I can ping. I can ping. Guys, can you ping in the comment? I mean, the same thing in this normal default route. Can you ping your foreign network that is unaware? If I give show IP route, I'm on R1 here. I don't know anything about 10 network. Do you see anything on the 10 network here? But if I ping, I get a reply back. This happens only in OSPF. But if you don't have an OSPF route, if you're not running this stub no summary, then you cannot reach in the normal static default route, static route, and there is a different version of static route is a default route. In the default route, you cannot reach your destination unless you have that particular route in your routing table. But here I don't have the 10 network, but still I can ping. Let me try if I can still ping a route on R2 30.0.0.1. I haven't tested this, but we should ping it. Yep, we can ping it. Look at this, the magic of OSPF. I don't know the route of the T network, but still through the stub no summary, it's all synchronized, right? Your database synchronized. Sorry, your database is synced to all the default route. I don't know about the T network, but still I can ping because of the special area type. This happens only in OSPF. So if somebody is asking a question, if you don't see the route for the destination through OSPF and in your routing table, you don't see that, but all points to the default route because of you're doing a special area type. If you can reach the other network, apparently yes. Yeah. Then what else? Let's jump back to let's jump back to we did stub, totally stub, and let's go back to not so stubby area. There is a special area type where you can see your type 7 LSAs. Let's go back to NSA. So let me remove the config from R3 here, right over here, R3 and R1. Let me take a different color. R3 and R1. Show run section OSPF. What should I do now? Let me remove this config. I'm on R1. Let me remove this command. Router OSPF1 to give a no command to remove this. I remove the no command. And let me go back to the config. Router OSPF1. I'm on R1. Area 1. Not so stubby area. Seriously, it's configured as stub already. Okay. Show run. Show run. Section OSPF. OSPF. Okay. Let me delete this. Router OSPF1. No area 1 stub. Area 1. NSSA. So neighborship, so it's broken. I have to jump into R3. Section OSPF. Let me delete this. Router OSPF 1. No area 1. Stub, no summary. No hyphen summary. Area 1 NSSA. No area 1 stub. Area 1 NSSA. Do show run section OSPF. So I just configure only this command. I'm on area 1 and it's not so stubby area. Show run section OSPF. And so along with that, we will do a packet capture and we'll see the LSA types. Yep, I'll do that. So now R3, this guy right over here, right? R3, it is on area 1 NSSA and R1, if I jump back to R1, show run section OSPF, not so stubby area. And if I give show IP OSPF database, let's jump back to the presentation. So I go to this. So we are on not so stubby area. So ASB are allowed, no type 5 LSAs are allowed. Let's see that. Type 4 and type 5 LSAs are not allowed. As you see, type 3 LSA is now allowed. and type 4 and type 5 LSAs are not allowed. I don't see the external routes. And if I go to the routing table, what are the changes I see now? Show IP route, OSPF. Earlier, if you see, it was all default route, but now the summary LSA is allowed. And along with that, as I said, if I give show IP OSPF database, I can see type 1. Let me take the different color here. Okay. So this is type 1, this is type 2, and this is type 3. But in the stub no summary, I mean, totally stubby area, type 3 is not allowed, right? If you see this, but type 4 and type 5 are not allowed in the not so stubby area. One minute, guys. Actually, I got a power cut here. I lost connection to my screen. 1 minute. Let me change this. Just bear with me 1 second, guys. I mean, I'm just trying to fix something here. Just bear with me for a few seconds. Yep. Now it's back. So yeah, you guys can see my screen, right? Okay. Actually, something crazy happening here. Let me change the setting. Let me share my screen.
யார மாமா முன்னாடியா நீ திட்டினியா யார
So guys, now we are in the router. So let's go back to the presentation here. So we did not so stubby area. And now we are going to do an area 4. I mean, sorry, we are going to do a totally not so stubby area. And let's see here, no type 3 LSA is allowed, no type 5 LSA is allowed, and but type 4 LSA is allowed, ASBR is allowed. So generally you should not see type 3, 5, and you should see type 1, 2, and 4. So for that, let me jump back to R3. So for that, let me remove this NSSA from here. For that, let me do router OSPF1, IP OSPF, no area, 1 NSSA. I'm on R3 here. Right over here, I'm on R3. This guy. I removed the special area, no area 1, NSSA. And the neighborship broken now. Let me copy this command and let me do this in R1. R1 is right over here. R1. I'm going to jump into the R1. I'm going to do the changes. Same thing in R1. Let's me hop back to R1. Show run. Let me make little bigger. Okay. So I am on R1 now, right over here. R1, show run section, OSPF, configure, router, OSPF1, no area 1, NSSA. Let me quickly jump back to show run section, OSPF. So that's no special area, it's a normal area. Let me go back to R3. To show run section OSPF. If I go to router OSPF, router OSPF1, area 1, NSSA, if I give question mark, you can see no summary, don't send summary LSA type 3. Going to do no summary. The same command, I'm going to run this command on R1. I'm on R3. Let's hop back to R1, sky config, router OSPF 1. So I gave the same command. Not so stubby area. I mean, not so stubby, totally stubby area. If you see this, show IP. I'm trying to expand the screen, but it's not happening. Okay, fine. Show IP, OSPF database. So what should I see here in the presentation? Um, Not so stubby, totally stubby area. No type 3 LSA allowed. No type 5 LSA is allowed, but ASBR is allowed. Let's go back to this. Show run section OSPF. Not so stubby, no summary. Not so stubby. Okay, ASBR is allowed here, but we don't see this type 4 LSA. Let me check the config. I'm on R1. Let me jump back to R3. Show IP OSPF database. I see the type 4 LSA. I see type, but this is an ABR, But if I go to R1, that's something I should see show IP OSPF database. Let me do clear IP OSPF process. Yes, I want to clear out the OSPF process on R1. Show IP OSPF database. So network LSAs, I see network LSAs, I see summary LSAs, but I don't see type 4 LSA. That's something I have to check. Show run section OSPF. Not supposed to be area, no summary on R1, and let me hop back to R3. Show run section OSPF. NSSA no summary command. It's fine. So what do I what I see in show IP route OSPF. So if I go to R3, so I'm going to R1 here, R1, check show IP OSPF database. I see only type 1, 2, and type 3. We are supposed to see, we're supposed to see ASBR allowed, right? ASBR. Can't see my ASBR. That's the only piece of information we are missing for this lab. Okay, so okay, a quick recap about what we discussed. I'll look about this and I'll come back to that, why we are not seeing type 4 LSA. That's only piece of information we couldn't do it today. I'll look into it and I'll do this in the next class. I don't know why this type 4 LSA is not allowed here. We did totally stubby area and ASBR is allowed, type 4 is allowed. Okay. So when we talk about the special areas, as we did in the area 1, we saw that there is no type 5 LSA, no ASBR is allowed, no type 4 LSA. I see type 1, 2, 3 LSAs. And when you want to reach the external network, it's something all it's everything is changed. Your default route, it's something you have to go to your ABR, and ABR actually helps us to reach the other network. Imagine this is our topology. So if I want to do this external network, this is an area 2 over here. If I want to go from area 1 to area 2, since I don't know type 5 LS external route, so I have to go through the ABR, because ABR knows everything how to reach it. Even in our topology, if you jump back and if you check that my ABR is R3 here, you can see on top I have marked with ABR. It gives show IP OSPF database. So you can see type 5 LSA. You can see type 3 LSA. You know the type 2 LSA and type 1 LSAs here. So no worries. So about the ABR, through ABR, actually, I'm going to the different areas and foreign network. That's the whole point. So in totally stub area, so by the command we know, I mean stub no summary is type 3 LSA. So you're also blocking your type 3 LSA. So type 1 and type 2 LSAs are allowed. Again, your default route helps to find the other destination, but the one big change in the, not big change, I mean the key difference in the default route, what we see with the special area is something, even though I don't know the route for the specific foreign network, I can still reach it because I'm going through the ABR. ABR is helping me. So ABR is doing all this magic in the middle. So and if I go back to the NSSA, that's something, no type 5 LSA is allowed. We saw that. And so but ASBR is allowed. We saw that, type 4 LSA. But here We are supposed to see type 4 LSA, but right now we see type 1, type 2, and no type 3 allowed, no type 5 allowed. ASBR is allowed, but we see if I go to R1, what is something we see here? Type 1, type 2 allowed, and type 3 allowed, but I don't see the type 4. If you see this, the type 3 allowed is something all our default routes, and there is no summary LSAs. That's the meaning of it. The summary LSA, you don't see any specific foreign network. Everything is replaced with default route. If you see that, I mean, show IP route. You guys should not confuse with that. Show IP route, OSPF. So everything is all zeros. My routing table, if you see, I don't know anything about 10 network. So no summary LSAs here. In the summary LSAs, I see only the default route, not the actual foreign network. That's the whole point. Everything pointed to the default route. Okay, that's it really about today's class. Let me stop recording.